Hi, guys. So, as the title says, are you a parent that's anxious about your child's mental health and physical health? I'm here to talk a little bit today about stuttering and the connection to ADHD. So, if you'd like to find a way to get past that hump of worry and anxiety, and this could be for even if you don't have children and you're concerned because the numbers are growing. And this occurred to me simply because I just finished making a blend for a family whose 2-year-old went from talking clearly to stuttering. And they were concerned about, well, they wanted to stop, right? And they wanted to know if I knew how to help them. So I did. I created a blend for them because the child isn't demonstrating any other behavioral issues, because that was a big concern as to how do I mastermind the right formula for this kid. So at any rate, but again, like I said, as I explained to her, stuttering is only the beginning. And this is what I've seen in a lot of children. My oldest son, as a matter of fact, has started most of his life. He's at the age right now where we really weren't diagnosing ADHD and autism to the degree that we are today. Although he is somewhere on that spectrum, it's clear. And I have to tell you that he went as far as to get his degree in college and now works with special needs children, specifically autism. So I'm really, really proud of him for that. But you could see the evolution of this, because he, in fact, was stuttering. And this is long before I really knew anything about the science of the oils and how to really impact brain health and ultimately physical health, because the brain affects the physical health. It's all related. Give you an example: dopamine. You know what dopamine does? This is related. We clearly know this to be the neurotransmitter for addiction. That's related to addiction. It's also related to all movement disorders. And the interesting thing for me is that we have these classifications, right? So we look at ADHD as a mental issue, and then we look at stuttering as a movement disorder. But it's all related. There really isn't any reason to categorize these, because dopamine is used for, it's also linked to depression. I mean, this is some of the medications that are out there, right? They influence dopamine levels depending on, that's what Wellbutrin does. Okay, that's what it does. I think it's now called Buparin, or that might be the generic name, but that's not important. The fact is that dopamine is a very important neurotransmitter. And it is, as soon as the stress response is activated, you guys, the dopamine begins to activate, or I should say, as soon as there's a threat coming to the body, the dopamine begins to activate the stress system. And there's changes to how dopamine gets used long term. And again, even 2 years doesn't seem like long term, but I propose this is actually happening in utero. This is the reason why I said, if you're not even a parent yet and you're concerned about the welfare of your child, there is another way than what we're currently being told. And we don't have to limit or label. And again, ADHD, stuttering, it's linked. ADHD, or I should say stuttering and anxiety, it's linked. Am I saying that stuttering is going to be linked to addiction? No, it depends on the individual. It is unpredictable. It's unpredictable. That's the important part here, is it's unpredictable. And I'm here to help clarify some things for you so that you can begin to relax as a parent. I was reading some statistics. Over half of the parents, and this was in 2018, okay? And I deliberately did this because of the pandemic. In 2018, nearly 50% of the parents that had been surveyed by children's hospitals around the country. So that's a good portion of our parents. Over 50% of those parents admitted to losing sleep over their children's welfare. Over 50%. And then there was an astonishing another 40% of those parents weren't even aware of the stress that their children were going through. And again, I feel like I mean, I could get into the science right now, and I'm not going to. But cortisol, I will say this, cortisol, as we know, is a stress hormone. It is involved with all of this. And this means stress levels as parents or soon to be parents impacts, and it's not a bad thing. There's no fault here. We can't really, it's no fault. Okay, it's no fault. We have been taught to react in a certain way. And I say that with all due respect. And when I mean taught, it's not like some people are out there teaching us how to behave. As we grow up, we model the behaviors of those around us. And so we've become accustomed to the way we react to the world. And this is happening in soon-to-be parents. And so my job is to actually help you find peace in becoming a parent, protecting your soon-to-be child, your unborn child, or the child that you desire to bring into this world. It is so imperative to actually help you reverse that stress response, relieve that stress response, and it's more than just meditation. This is where oils come in. This is what the oils can actually do. This is the reason why I just completed a blend for a 2-year-old who's stuttering. Again, it's not the parent's fault. Gosh, you guys, I'm sorry. It's not the parent's fault. We can't help what's going on in the world. We can't help the way we, it's just time to undo some of the things that we've been taught. And part of this modeling becomes integrated into the way your child grows up. Just imagine that. Imagine having different responses to the world because our body was better equipped, was stronger, was more responsive than reactionary. Therefore, you are now protecting your unborn child's health. You're learning and gaining tools for, that keeps going black. You're gaining tools for how to work with your young children and how to begin to teach them how to do this for themselves, because the ultimate goal is that they have a healthier future. Yes, we're worried about them right now. And with this pandemic, it's even gotten worse. But in 2018, over 50% of the parents admitted to being stressed and losing sleep and gaining weight over their children. So we can shift that. We can fundamentally shift that. So I have a couple of really cool things coming up. Actually, next Wednesday, I'll just tell you this. I actually am offering a live talk on just this kind of thing, actually beginning to share with you oil suggestions for wannabe parents or soon-to-be parents. And then later on, there's going to be one on oils and specifically ADHD and autism. And then, you guys, I'm also collaborating with this person who is amazing at helping to shift our emotional body, our emotional learning, so that we can really fundamentally support our children's future. Because at some point, they're going to be operating just like we're operating without our parents, but a lot of this is coming up because of this is what we've learned. And why oils? Because, like I said, they actually support a response as opposed to a reaction. They help. I'll put a link here that goes to a post that I wrote in my ultimate guide on the hormonal changes affecting our children's health. I highly recommend that you read that so that you kind of get an idea, because the whole point here is to relieve your anxiety, to reduce your stress, because the more that we can do that for you, the better off your children are going to be. I promise you, because like I said, my son, my oldest one, came into this world and he had some health issues already because he was a preemie, and then he started stuttering, and all I can tell you is that, all of this comes, you guys, I have 4 biological children. I have 2 that I adopted. And through the course of bringing children into this world, beginning with my first one, I was terrified. Not because I didn't want to be pregnant, because I had been taking a medication. I'd been taking a medication that was supposed to help me start my period. And what I found out is it had been a medication that had been used decades earlier as a pregnancy test. You took it for 7 days, and on the 8th day, you're supposed to start your period. Well, mine didn't start. And come to find out, that's when I discovered what it really was, and that it in fact had been removed from the market due to birth defects. When I found out I was pregnant, I was a teenager, and I sat on that OBGYN's table and I bawled. His wife finally came in and helped to reassure me that I would be fine and that my baby would be fine. We had more issues during that pregnancy, but what I can tell you beyond all that is I was white knuckling this pregnancy because I didn't want my child born with birth defects. I was terrified. So that level of stress, I feel like, actually contributed to the way he came into this world. It contributed to the way his brain developed. It wasn't my fault. It contributed to the brain chemistry that his body was, what it was producing. It was all, he has for many, many years, he was, I should say, very hypersensitive to the world. And yes, we did use oils. And he will stutter to this day if he gets stressed. But beyond that, we've leveled him out. And I can tell you straight up that that has been the most rewarding experience and has relieved me, because I know that he can function as an amazing adult. And we gave him that platform. And this is what I want to provide for you. So, you can go to, just go to the link in my bio, and you can go to the live events and register there. And like I said, there's going to be other ones coming up, and we're here to support you guys. That's what we're here to do, because we're all in this together. Anyway, blessings. Thank you so much for taking a moment to watch this, and I look forward to seeing you very soon.